The stars were bright and the galaxy was full of life. Many alien civilizations had explored and ruled the stars for centuries. They knew the dangers of space, the threats from other races, and the balance of power in the galaxy. Among these great civilizations, humans were considered small and weak. Earth was just a tiny blue planet on the edge of a quiet star system. Aliens had watched humans for a long time. They saw small creatures with soft bodies, fragile bones, and little strength. Humans had no great weapons, no massive fleets, and no ancient knowledge like the older races. They seemed weak, almost harmless. When humans finally sent their first starships beyond the solar system, the galaxy did not pay much attention. The alien fleets barely noticed the small, simple ships. The humans arrived quietly, without fanfare, without loud announcements. Their ships were small, not armed like the fleets of other races. Some alien scouts laughed when they saw them. "These creatures are nothing," said Commander Zorak of the Xylar fleet. "They cannot survive one day in real space without our help." Humans, however, did not respond with words or threats. They explored quietly. They studied planets, stars, and civilizations carefully. They sent diplomats and scientists, small groups traveling slowly but observing everything. Unlike many alien races, humans did not assume they were the best. They learned fast, adapted quickly, and watched others closely. Humans seemed fragile, but they had patience and cleverness. At the Galactic Council, humans were a curiosity. Delegates from different races whispered and laughed. "They are small and weak," said one diplomat from the Vorlax. "Why even allow them here?" Another alien shrugged. "They cannot last a year in space. Let them try and we will see their end." Humans listened quietly. They did not argue. They smiled politely, nodded, and learned the ways of the council. Yet humans were not as simple as they seemed. Their history on Earth had been brutal. Humans had survived countless disasters, wars, and predators. Every human carried the instinct to fight, survive, and adapt. Every challenge on their home planet had taught them to think creatively, to work together, and to survive against all odds. No alien could see this in their small, soft bodies. As humans began to explore, they chose planets carefully. They did not attack or destroy. They observed, experimented, and tested. When they encountered alien species, they learned the strengths and weaknesses of each. Other races underestimated them, assuming their small weapons and quiet methods meant weakness. But humans were learning faster than anyone expected. They noticed patterns in alien behavior, understood tactics, and practiced strategies quietly. They were like students in a vast classroom, absorbing knowledge without showing their power. Even on their first encounters, humans surprised aliens without trying. A small human survey team landed on a planet controlled by the Xyrath, a race known for aggression. The Xyrath expected fear, retreat, or surrender. Instead, humans walked calmly, studied the planet, and left peacefully. Yet, they left small signs of their intelligence. Traps for predators, simple communication devices, and structures that showed clever engineering. When the Xyrath returned to inspect, they found that the humans had already solved problems that took Xyrath engineers months to understand. The galaxy laughed at humans, but humans were patient. They did not seek immediate glory or battle. They focused on learning and growing quietly. Each ship, each scientist, each explorer gained experience. Humans adapted faster than anyone imagined. They learned alien languages, studied alien technology, and observed political structures. They were small, but they were clever. And the galaxy would soon see that cleverness could be more dangerous than strength. In quiet corridors of the council, some aliens began to notice subtle signs of human skill. They whispered to each other, "These creatures are too careful, too smart, too patient." But most dismissed these warnings. Humans seemed harmless, their small ships and polite behavior hiding nothing of importance. Humans, meanwhile, continued their calm work. They mapped stars, learned trade routes, and recorded alien customs. They did not boast. They did not fight unless necessary. Yet every action prepared them for the future. Every small success built their understanding of the galaxy. The aliens did not see it yet, but humans were ready. They had arrived quietly, but they were planting the seeds of something far greater. The galaxy had assumed humans were weak. They had underestimated patience, cleverness, and adaptability. The humans' small, quiet arrival hid the truth. They were not just travelers. They were survivors, explorers, and learners. The galaxy laughed at their tiny ships, their soft bodies, and their simple ways. But humans had learned one thing well from their home world. Survival was not about size or strength. It was about intelligence, courage, and the will to overcome. And in that quiet, unnoticed arrival, humans were already preparing to prove it. The galaxy had already decided that humans were weak. Alien fleets, scholars, and politicians all assumed humans would fail in space. They expected humans to be slow, clumsy, and easy to control. Humans arrived in the stars quietly, and most alien races paid little attention. They believed humans were just small, fragile creatures who could not compete with centuries-old space empires. The Xylar fleet was the first to test their assumption. They spotted a small human convoy traveling near a neutral star system. Commander Zorak laughed as he prepared his ships for a simple interception. "We will crush them in minutes," he said. "These humans cannot even survive asteroid storms on their home planet. Let's see how they handle real space combat." His officers agreed, confident in the plan. When the humans noticed the Xylar ships approaching, they did not panic. They did not shout orders or try to escape in fear. Instead, they observed the Xylar fleet carefully. Humans quickly calculated the fleet's movements, studied the environment, and predicted possible attacks. They had no massive weapons, but they had something more important: quick thinking and adaptability. As the Xylar ships fired their first energy beams, humans moved calmly. They avoided attacks, used nearby asteroids for cover, and created patterns that confused the Xylar sensors. Every move seemed unplanned, random even, but it was carefully calculated. The Xylar commander could not understand how such small, fragile ships could avoid damage. Each attempt to trap them failed. Humans adapted instantly to new strategies. Meanwhile, humans used their small weapons in clever ways. They did not attack blindly. They targeted weak points in the Xylar ships, disabling engines and communications without causing massive destruction. The aliens were shocked. Their giant fleet, built for war over centuries, was being outsmarted by creatures they had considered inferior. Back on the Xylar command bridge, panic began to rise. Zorak shouted orders, but his officers struggled to adapt. Every human maneuver seemed unpredictable. Humans were using tactics that no alien had expected. They improvised in ways that violated standard combat rules. They used the environment, asteroids, and even gravity wells to their advantage. Zorak realized that humans were not following patterns the way aliens did. They were thinking differently, creatively, and without fear. The humans did not boast or insult the aliens. They remained quiet, precise, and calm. They never overextended, never took unnecessary risks. Every move was carefully measured, yet it appeared effortless. The Xylar fleet began to retreat slowly, confused and humiliated. They had underestimated humans, and that mistake was costly. Even a small human team could defeat a larger alien fleet if they thought faster and adapted better. Other alien races began to take notice. News of the encounter spread quickly across the galaxy. "The humans survived the Xylar fleet," said a Vorlax trader in disbelief. "Impossible. They are so small and weak. How can they manage such precision?" Even the council diplomats started questioning their assumptions. Some whispered warnings: "Perhaps we have judged humans too lightly." But many still laughed. They had seen humans survive difficult situations before, but they did not believe humans could truly challenge established powers. Humans, however, paid little attention to the whispers. They continued their missions quietly. Every small success gave them experience, knowledge, and confidence. They learned alien strategies, languages, and technologies faster than anyone expected. Their survival instinct, honed on Earth through centuries of danger and hardship, made them formidable without showing aggression. They could fight, but only when necessary and always with intelligence. On another planet, humans encountered a hostile alien race known for strict rules and predictable attacks. The humans faced an ambush. Most aliens would panic or attack blindly. Humans analyzed the situation, observed the enemy's pattern, and moved strategically. They avoided traps, diverted attention, and neutralized threats in ways that seemed simple, but required extraordinary calculation. The aliens were stunned. They had never faced opponents who could think so differently and adapt so quickly. Slowly, the galaxy began to learn a lesson it should have known long ago. Humans were not weak. They were underestimated because they were different. Their strength was not in size, numbers, or heavy weapons. Their strength was intelligence, creativity, and the ability to adapt. Even when facing larger and stronger opponents, humans could survive and succeed. The humans' quiet victories were spreading a message. Aliens who laughed before began to pause. They realized that humans could not be ignored. Underestimation was dangerous. A single small human team could outsmart entire fleets, predict enemy tactics, and survive impossible situations. The galaxy had assumed humans would fail. The galaxy had judged them by appearances. That mistake would be remembered. Humans continued their calm exploration and learning. They did not boast about defeating the Xylar fleet or avoiding the ambush. They focused on understanding, observing, and preparing for the future. Every encounter, every challenge strengthened their skills. They were small, yes, but they were clever, patient, and adaptable. Aliens who underestimated them were about to discover that appearances could be deceiving. The galaxy had made one mistake. It had thought humans were weak. Humans were proving, quietly but powerfully, that weakness was only what others believed. The true strength of humanity lay in its mind, its instincts, and its courage. And the galaxy was only beginning to see it. The galaxy began to notice humans more closely. Small, quiet, and polite, humans traveled among alien worlds with ease. Many aliens still believed humans were weak, but some began to feel unease. Humans did not rely on huge ships, massive weapons, or overwhelming numbers. Instead, they relied on thinking, planning, and adapting. The human edge, as some began to call it secretly, was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. A small group of humans explored a newly discovered star system controlled by the Vorlax. The Vorlax were known for their strict discipline and military strength. They expected humans to follow predictable patterns. They assumed humans would act like other small races, nervous, slow, and easy to control. They were wrong. Humans observed quietly, studying Vorlax patrols, sensor patterns, and communication systems. They learned quickly how the Vorlax acted and what they feared. Humans did not attack immediately. They did not boast. They waited. But when the moment came, the humans acted in ways no one expected. The humans moved with speed and precision. They used decoys to distract patrols, avoided direct conflict, and exploited gaps in Vorlax defenses. Small ships bypassed heavy defenses, while human teams on the ground gathered intelligence without being detected. The Vorlax were confused. Their most experienced commanders could not predict human movements. Every plan they made seemed useless. On one outpost, humans found a Vorlax communication hub. They could have destroyed it easily, but instead they used it to learn and observe. They intercepted messages, discovered fleet movements, and even gained knowledge of secret alliances. With this small but clever effort, humans achieved what large Vorlax fleets could not. They were fast, efficient, and intelligent. Word of human tactics spread quickly. Some alien diplomats whispered about the strange human advantage. No one knew exactly what it was, but every encounter showed that humans were always one step ahead. Even the most powerful races were puzzled. Humans did not rely on brute strength. They relied on clever thinking, teamwork, and adaptability. Meanwhile, humans continued to grow in skill. They learned alien languages, studied alien weapons, and understood alien politics. They observed weakness and strength, and they adapted to every new challenge. Humans could improvise in ways that shocked others. While aliens followed rules and routines, humans could bend rules and create new ones. The galaxy had never seen such unpredictability in a single race. In another system, humans faced the Xyrath, known as one of the galaxy's most feared predators. The Xyrath expected humans to retreat or surrender. Instead, humans used the environment to their advantage. Asteroids, gravity fields, and even solar flares became tools in their hands. Small teams disabled Xyrath ships, avoided traps, and turned situations that should have been dangerous into opportunities. The Xyrath were stunned. They had never met creatures who could think faster than them, who could adapt instantly, and who could turn their own strength against them. Humans also had another advantage: teamwork. On Earth, humans had survived disasters together, fought for survival, and learned to trust and coordinate with each other. In space, this skill became more powerful. Humans worked in small teams, communicated clearly, and executed plans with precision. No alien race had ever relied so much on coordination rather than raw power, and it gave humans an edge that could not be measured in weapons or fleets. Even in diplomacy, humans surprised the galaxy. They did not rely on threats or intimidation. Instead, they used clever negotiation, understanding, and careful timing. Humans could make alliances when needed and break them when necessary, always calculating the benefits. Many alien races could not predict their actions, and that uncertainty made humans even more dangerous. The galaxy slowly began to realize a truth that had been ignored for too long. Humans were not the strongest, largest, or most armed species. But they were smart, fast, and adaptable. They could survive situations that would destroy others. They could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast opponents. Strength alone was no match for intelligence combined with courage and cunning. In secret, alien commanders began to respect humans, even fear them. They shared stories of small human teams defeating fleets, of human explorers surviving deadly planets, and of humans outsmarting ancient races in negotiations. The human edge was no longer a secret. It was becoming clear: humans were special. They were dangerous not because of size or power but because of their mind and spirit. The humans themselves did not boast. They continued quietly, exploring, learning, and adapting. Every encounter, every mission, and every challenge strengthened them. The galaxy had judged them by appearances, but humans were proving that intelligence, creativity, and determination could surpass even the greatest power. The small, unassuming humans had an advantage no one could ignore. And with that advantage, humans were ready. They would face the galaxy's challenges with courage, cleverness, and precision. No one had seen the full potential of humanity yet. The human edge was only beginning to show. The galaxy had assumed humans were weak, but the humans were proving something far more important. Survival, skill, and intelligence made them dangerous beyond measure. The galaxy had never seen humans act together on a large scale. Small groups were clever, fast, and adaptable, but the full potential of humanity was still hidden. Many alien races assumed humans were harmless when acting alone. They did not understand that when humans united, their intelligence and creativity multiplied. The awakening began quietly in ways no alien expected. A galactic council was called to discuss the humans. Leaders from the strongest races gathered: the Xyler, the Vorlax, the Xyrith, and others. They had watched humans for years and were uneasy. Small human teams had survived impossible situations, outsmarted fleets, and gained influence without using force. Now the council decided it was time to confront humans directly. They planned a demonstration of power, a show to remind humanity that the galaxy's great races were in control. Humans attended the council calmly. Their small ships, quiet manners, and polite words made the aliens underestimate them once more. "They are soft creatures," whispered Commander Zorak. "They cannot understand the scale of this meeting. They will obey." The humans listened carefully. They did not argue or threaten. They only observed, smiling politely, learning the patterns, rules, and weaknesses of the council. The council began to act. They ordered humans to follow strict rules, to remain in designated areas, and to surrender certain technology for inspection. Many alien races expected humans to resist, to panic, or to flee. But the humans did none of these things. They obeyed just enough to gain trust, but always with a plan. They learned quickly who was strongest, who was cautious, and who was overconfident. As the council discussed, humans began their own preparation. They had already studied the weaknesses of each race. They understood communication networks, fleet schedules, and security patterns. In silence, humans coordinated across ships and planets. Small teams moved unnoticed, gaining control over strategic points without alarming anyone. By the time the council noticed, humans were already in positions no alien had expected. The first sign of the awakening came when a minor council system was suddenly controlled by humans, not through force but through clever planning. Alien security measures failed. Communication channels were intercepted, minor fleets rerouted, and critical data was accessed. The council members were shocked. No one had expected humans to act so efficiently and so quietly. The humans were not violent. They did not destroy or kill unnecessarily. Yet, in every way that mattered, they had gained the advantage. The main council meeting became tense. Aliens who had underestimated humans for years began to realize the truth. Humans were not weak and they were not slow. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and coordinated. Even the most experienced generals could not anticipate human strategies. The galaxy had assumed humans were fragile, but humans had learned the power of patience, observation, and unity. In the following days, humans revealed more of their skill. Minor conflicts were resolved in ways that left alien fleets confused. Humans avoided direct battles when possible, instead using cunning tactics. They predicted enemy movements, cut off supply lines, and negotiated with allies at the right moment. Each success reinforced the awakening. The galaxy had misjudged humanity completely. The council began to speak in hushed tones. "They are not what we expected," said one Vorlax general. "They are more dangerous than any fleet we have faced." Another added, "We judge them by size, strength, and weapons. But they think in ways we cannot predict. They adapt faster than we can react." Fear began to spread. Humans had arrived quietly, but now they commanded attention. Humans themselves remained calm. They did not boast, threaten, or insult the council. Every action was precise, measured, and intelligent. They had learned the lesson their ancestors on Earth had always known. Survival was not about violence alone, but about cleverness, teamwork, and courage. The aliens had underestimated humans for centuries, and that mistake was now painfully clear. By the end of the awakening, the Council had no choice but to recognize human skill. The galaxy had assumed humans were weak, slow, and fragile. Instead, they had discovered a species that could think faster, adapt better, and unite more effectively than anyone had imagined. Humans were no longer just a curiosity, they were a force to be respected. The awakening changed everything. Humans had not sought power, but they had proven it through intelligence, patience, and strategy. Alien races who had laughed at their small size and soft bodies now hesitated before challenging them. Humans had shown that true strength was not just in weapons or fleets, it was in the mind, the courage, and the will to survive. Quietly, humans continued to observe, learn, and prepare for the future. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of their potential, but the full power of humanity was still hidden. The awakening was only the beginning. One thing was certain, the galaxy could no longer underestimate humans. The galaxy had learned its lesson. After the awakening, no alien race could dismiss humans as weak or unimportant. Humans had shown that size, strength, and weapons did not define true power. Cleverness, adaptability, and courage mattered more. Slowly, respect for humans grew, first in whispers, then in meetings, and finally across entire star systems. Humans did not demand respect. They did not boast of victories or achievements. They continued their work quietly, exploring new planets, trading fairly, and learning the ways of other civilizations. Yet, everywhere they went, humans were treated differently. Alien fleets gave them space and careful attention. Diplomats approached with caution. Even species that had once laughed at humans now hesitated to underestimate them. In one sector, a Vorlax fleet approached a human convoy. In the past, they would have attacked without question, confident of victory. This time, they slowed their approach, sent careful signals, and waited for the humans' response. The small human ships moved calmly, maintaining their path and purpose. The Vorlax realized that any sudden move could be dangerous. Humans were patient, intelligent, and unpredictable. Respect was no longer optional, it was necessary. Across the galaxy, stories of human skill spread like fire. A single human negotiator could resolve disputes between multiple alien species. Small human teams could explore dangerous planets and survive where giant alien forces failed. Even the fiercest predators of space learned to avoid unnecessary conflict with humans. Their strategy, intelligence, and calmness had earned them a reputation that no alien could ignore. The Galactic Council officially recognized humans as equal members. Leaders who had once mocked them now spoke carefully, listening to human representatives with attention. Humans were polite and patient, never rushing or forcing their ideas. Yet, every suggestion they made carried weight because aliens had learned that humans could think in ways no one else could. Their insight, patience, and skill had earned respect, not fear or intimidation. Humans had also taught the galaxy a new lesson. Respect is earned through action, not through words or sighs. They never bragged or boasted, but their actions proved their worth. Every plan they executed, every challenge they survived, and every negotiation they handled with skill strengthened their reputation. Aliens realized that the quiet, clever humans were stronger than any who relied on brute force. Even the most powerful species learned to approach humans carefully. The Xyrith, once feared across many systems, now treated human fleets with caution. The Xyler, who had laughed at humans for decades, began to study their tactics and behavior. The Vorlax, who had tried to control human movements, now waited for human decisions before acting. Humans had turned respect into a natural part of the galaxy's rules, without demanding it or showing anger. On distant planets, humans continued their exploration. They made friends with alien species, helped civilizations rebuild after disasters, and shared knowledge without showing superiority. Yet everywhere they went, their reputation preceded them. The galaxy knew that humans were clever, brave, and capable of adapting to any challenge. Respect had been earned not through fear, but through intelligence, courage, and quiet determination. Even in battle, humans demonstrated skill without arrogance. They did not attack unless necessary. When conflict arose, humans fought with strategy, observation, and precision. Their enemies quickly learned that humans were unpredictable and adaptable. Brute strength alone could not defeat them. The galaxy saw that humans were not violent by nature, but when needed, they could act with efficiency and intelligence that few could match. Humans had also created a new kind of leadership. They led through example, planning, and cooperation. Their teams worked together seamlessly, combining intelligence, strategy, and courage. Aliens could see that humans trusted each other and adapted together, making their actions stronger than the sum of individual parts. This approach earned admiration across the stars. Finally, humans proved that the galaxy had misjudged them for centuries. They were not the weakest race. They were not fragile or unprepared. Humans were survivors, thinkers, and leaders. The galaxy had assumed humans were unimportant, but now humans were recognized as equal, respected, and feared in the right measure. Their quiet arrival, clever actions, and calm determination had changed the balance of power forever. As humans continued to explore, trade, and negotiate, they never lost their humility. They remembered the lessons of Earth. Survival required courage, intelligence, and teamwork. The galaxy had learned that humans were the true apex predators, not through violence alone, but through adaptability, skill, and wisdom. And so, humanity earned its place in the stars. Not by size or force, but by mind, heart, and action. The galaxy finally understood that humans were not to be underestimated. Respect had been earned quietly, cleverly, and forever. The legend of humanity spread across star systems. The small, soft creatures of Earth had become one of the most respected civilizations in the galaxy. The galaxy had learned, too late, that humans were the original apex predators.